Hello and hi everyone. So in this topics, we are going to learn about the B cells development, activation and differentiation. Are you guys excited to explore more with the Cells Warrior? Come and join us. So in this topics, the learning outcomes that students should learn is they can demonstrate in detail the structure, function and classification of elements involved in the production and maturation of the B cells. So before we proceed, shall we get to know the Cells Warrior? Yes, they are dendritic cells, the macrophages, the CD4 T cells or helper T cells, the regulatory T cells, the B cells, of course, they do have the antibodies on their surface, and lastly, the CD8 T cell or cytotoxic T cells. So, other than the Cells Warrior, the components also involved in this production, maturation, and activation. The immune system is composed of the lymphatic system, which has three different components. The first one is lymphatic vessels, that the task is to drain interstitial fluid or lymph from peripheral tissues into the blood, whilst others like tissues and organs, both of these components contain lymphocytes, the B and T cells, and also the white blood cells. And the organs is divided into two lymphoid organs, which is the primary and the secondary lymphoid organs. For the primary lymphoid organ is divided into thymus and bone marrow, whilst for the secondary lymphoid organs is composed of spleens, adenoids and tonsil, lymph nodes, lymphatic vessel, and also mucus-associated lymphoid tissue, MALT, which is divided into four. The first one is gut-associated lymphoid tissue, GALT, the bronchus-associated lymphoid tissue, the BALT, the skin-associated lymphoid tissue, SALT, and the nasal-associated lymphoid tissue. So, what process involved? As you can see that from this slide, it has the bone marrow, the thymus, the B and the T cells, and also the lymph tissue. This slide shows you the process of the development, activation, and also the maturation of the B cells. You may take home few points in which an overview of a B cell's development. The sites of B cell maturation before the birth in the yolk cells, fetal liver, and also the fetal bone marrow, and after the birth, it's in the bone marrow. The early B cells development constitute the steps that lead to B cells commitment and expression of surface Ig or immunoglobulin, the production of mature B cells. Whilst mature B cells leave the bone marrow and migrate to the secondary lymphoid tissue or organ, as you can see that this is how the process takes place. And the B cells then interact with the exogenous antigen and or T helper cells, which is at the end they will become an antigen dependent phases. So as you can see that inside the femur, the antigen independent phases or maturation takes place. And then we move to the B cells development in the bone marrow, where it regulates construction of an antigen receptor and to ensure that each cell has only one specificity and not forgotten, checks and dispose of self-reactive B cells, and which later exports useful cells to the periphery and then later on provides sites for antibody production. Normally, the plasma cells that are found in the splenic red path or lymph nodes modules and the bone marrow, and also the plasma cell are the terminal differentiation states of the B cells, where towards the end they will migrate to the medullary cortex, where their sole function is to secrete antibody. As you can see that this figure or this image shows the majority of the B cell clones mature into plasma cell, where it takes a few steps, like the central lymphoid organs are not connected to lymphatics isolated from the environment, and it's totally isolated from the environment, and the spleen has no lymph circulation where the immune response to blood-borne antigens. Whilst for the HEV, as you can see that from this image, is the high endothelial venues, where it's special entry sites for the blood circulating lymphocytes to peripheral lymphoid organs. And one lymph node circle per hour is about 25 billion lymphocytes, or equivalent to 25 times 10 power 9 per lymph nodes per day. So, are you guys interested to explore with the Cells Warrior? Don't forget, and do not hesitate to contact me to come together and join us in an interesting journey of the Cells Warrior. So thank you very much and have a good day, everyone.